Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk about the 3 best ways that you can learn to code fast. Now, if you've been paying attention to this space, you've probably seen an explosion of different resources and boot camps and programs for people that are thinking about getting into software engineering or just learning how to code for whatever reason. There's hundreds of thousands of online programs and courses and just an endless list of resources to learn these skills. And one of the tough things about that is it makes it hard to separate some of the good programs from some of the bad programs. I know me personally, I've gone through a number of different resources and resources about resources just to try to learn what's the best way to acquire some of these super valuable skills. What makes this even more tough is that there's a bunch of resources that are aimed at people that just want to be hobbyist coders. There's resources aimed at people that want to be high-level professional software engineers and go work at, Facebook or Google. And it's just hard to tell what's right for your particular case. Now, I've spent way too many hours going through tons of these resources. I've even applied to, been accepted, and started a grad school program for software engineering, and I've done a number of other courses on the side. So I have a little bit of experience, at least with this field, in terms of understanding what's out there. Now, I've seen a bunch of different programs, but I'm just going to talk about 3 types of programs right now and some of the pros and cons. I think what this will give you is just a quick understanding, and it'll cut out a lot of the preliminary research you'll have to do if you are thinking about learning how to code or becoming a software engineer. So the 3 types of code fast resources are coding bootcamps, purely online programs, and then longer mastery-based programs, which if you don't know what those are, I'm going to get into those, and it's definitely worth finding out about what the difference is. So the first one are coding bootcamps. Many people are familiar with these. Generally, there's some sort of abbreviated program where you learn a lot of the basics you need to get into the software engineering or data science industries in a condensed period of time. Generally speaking, these last anywhere from 2 to 6 months, and they usually include some sort of high intensity learning learning time period. So for example, a very common format for a coding bootcamp is a 12-week course. And during this 12-week, many of these bootcamps are 5 to 6 days per week and 8 to 12 hours per day of classroom or instruction or project-based learning time. Some combination of those. Now, some of the pros and cons of these, they're really good if you already have a foundation of coding experience or experience with the language that you're thinking of learning. If you're coming in completely fresh and you don't have any experience in these technologies, it's going to be very difficult to really get the core benefit of these programs. Now, to deal with this, a lot of these programs have released pre-courses that they make their students go through in order to be more able to get that core benefit of the program. What's nice about some of these preliminary programs is that these coding bootcamps use this as an onboarding system to get in their program, and many of these pre-courses are extremely high quality. What's even more is a lot of these bootcamps offer these pre-courses at an extreme discount in order to help get people in the door for their main higher priced program. Now, you as a prospective student for any of these programs can take advantage of this by taking some of these pre-courses, even if you're not completely sold on the idea of taking a coding bootcamp. And I'll give you an example of how that looks. One of the most highest reputation bootcamps in the coding bootcamp industry is called Hack Reactor. Hack Reactor is exactly what I mentioned, a 3-month or 12-week JavaScript-based front-end focused software engineering bootcamp. Now, they advertise themselves as a full stack, coding bootcamp, but realistically, what they're preparing people for is jobs in front-end development or more junior full stack engineering positions. Now, one of the nice things about this course is, like I mentioned, they have a pre-course that students can enroll in for an extremely discounted price. I think when I was taking it, they had an offer where you could get it for free, or it was like $250 for this 4 to 6 week program, and you were allowed to take it up to 3 times. Now, what was crazy about this program is that they had live instructors that would come on and actually help students in fairly small cohorts of 50 to 100 people. So sometimes we would have 3 or 4 instructors working with a group of 50 to 100 people, and they would be on call to help us as we were working through these programs. And again, what made this even crazier was that we were spending, sometimes 20 hours per week in these programs, meaning they had 3 to 4 instructors on staff for 50 to 100 of students working 20 hours a week. And this only costs $250. Now, there's rarely a time where you can get that type of support working on your own to get through any type of coding, challenge or learning opportunity where you can go and get instructors actually to help you with these problems. And once I started learning more about this industry, I realized that this wasn't unique to Hack Reactor. Many of these coding bootcamps have pre-courses. So the point of that long-winded explanation is just to say, take advantage of some of the resources these programs are offering in order to get students in the door. It's a great way to get a taste of what a bootcamp will be like and find out for free or close to free if that's the right learning path for you. Again, I would say if you don't have a foundation in any kind of software engineering or coding, make sure you get that before you go and take a bootcamp. Otherwise, you're very unlikely to get a large benefit from it. You need a little bit of self-study. The next one, purely online programs. Now, 2 great examples of purely online programs are Block, software engineering, and Thinkful. These are both online academies that have courses for front-end development, full-stack development, design, and data science. And what's nice about these is that they're designed for working professionals or people that already have a full or part-time job but still want to learn to code on the side. Both of these programs do have full-time versions of their programs, but they really stand out with the part-time offerings. What I really like about these types of fully online programs is that this learn at your own pace program gives you a much longer period of time to try to get through the material. The material is going to be very similar to what you're going to be exposed to in one of these high-intensity, short duration boot camps. But it's going to allow you to take that, at a much more reasonable 15 to 30 hours per week, instead of the 50, 60 or more hours per week many of these short duration boot camps require. And it's going to let you do that around everything else you have going on in your life. So if you're someone who's working full-time or part-time, or you have kids, or you're just not confident in your ability to put in 60 plus hours per week at a coding boot camp, this is a great way to still get all the benefit of those short duration boot camps, but be able to take it in a more reasonable really duration and intensity. Now, obviously the downside of this is it's going to take way longer. Most of these last anywhere from 6 to 15 months instead of the 2 to 6 months you put in one of those short high intensity boot camps. What I do love about these though is in addition to many of the flexible payment options that a lot of the high intensity boot camps offer, there's many fully online longer duration programs like the ones offered by Block and Thinkful that also offer an ISA. Now, if you don't know what an ISA is, it just stands for Income Share Agreement. Basically, it's an agreement between you and the educational institution that lets you defer payment for the program that you're in until after you've received a job. Many of these ISAs actually don't require anything of the student up front. That means you can start taking the program and in many cases graduate from the program without paying them anything. Most of these ISAs allow you to pay the program based on your salary in the job you get in the field you're studying for. So this is really great for people who don't have a lot of extra money sitting around or they're concerned about their cash flow while paying for a course like this. So that is the purely online courses. So we went over boot camps, purely online courses. The last one I want to talk about are mastery-based learning options. And this covers things like your traditional schooling program, something like grad school or a longer term program that's focused on the career field you want to go in, or another school, which I'm going to focus on in another video, launch school. Now, launch school, I'm going to talk about it briefly. It embodies this mastery-based learning approach. And essentially what this is instead of focusing on a small subset of the skills you'll need for the field you're going into, in this case, we're going to assume software engineering. It focuses on building a foundation of the core fundamental skills you'll need for your field. So for this example, software engineering, many of the boot camps that are in shorter duration focus on one specific technology that you're going to plan to use when you go out and start applying for jobs or building a project on your own. Now, the downside to this is that you're not gonna have the same breadth and depth of knowledge that you'd have if you're just studying, the fundamentals of your field, in this case, software engineering. What a program like Launch School does is, instead of going into one technology and just hammering that one technology to get you ready to apply for jobs that use that, it hammers away on the basics of software engineering that might not be super relevant to any one specific job, but are going to give you the overall abilities that allow you to go out and then learn any of these other technologies that you'll need. This is kind of similar to the approach that many grad school or undergraduate programs take, in that, for example, at undergraduate, they're going to teach you the foundations of computation. They're going to teach you discrete mathematics. They're going to teach you algorithms. They're going to teach you object-oriented programming. They're going to teach you functional programming. They're going to teach you networks and servers and databases. And by learning and getting to a high level in all of these different subfields that you'll need, you can then mix and match these different skills to learn and apply new technologies when you're out in the career field. This is a very different approach to what most boot camps do, which is just to teach you, the minimum viable software stack you need to work at a company and just hammer away on that one technology. For many people, especially people who have a foundation of learning, this approach works really well. But if you're someone who doesn't have any sort of foundation in this field, this can leave huge gaps in your knowledge, which could come back to bite you when you have to switch technology stacks or the type of technology you're using, and you might not have the same level of foundational skills that are going to allow you to learn that new technology. So the mastery-based approach can work really well, specifically because it helps to allow you to learn anything in the future after you've already mastered the fundamentals of the field. Now, the downsides, of course, are this approach to learning is going to take much longer. Most people who take this kind of approach, a mastery-based learning approach for the field of software engineering, going to grad school or a longer-term learning journey on their own, they're going to plan to spend at least 2 years really working at building up the fundamentals. I know there's more schools now that are taking this approach, as people see that it's very difficult to learn a field like software engineering in 3 months, and you really do need that hardcore foundation of skills. Many schools now are offering these longer programs that really allow you to get more comfortable with some of the fundamentals. So out of all these 3 approaches, personally I think the mastery-based approach is best if you can handle it, but really any of these approaches can work based on what your situation is. So in this video, I talked about the coding boot camps, purely online courses, and mastery-based programs. I'm going to leave my favorite resources for all those different types of programs below in the description. Last thing, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the like button. Comment below letting me know if this was useful or you'd like me to talk about some other topics related to learning, things in software engineering. And as always, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so that you're notified anytime that I come out with new videos. And thank you guys for watching.